The Washington Commanders, after more than 3 decades of irrelevance, finally got the divorce that they've been waiting for so long from former owner Dan Snyder. And with what we just saw this past season, 2024, the immediate turnaround for this franchise, the future could not be brighter. Total clean sweep, new ownership, new GM, new head coach, new quarterback. And for that rookie quarterback, I've seen enough already to put him as the 5th best quarterback in football, ahead of Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert, everybody not named Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson. The Washington Commanders, with Jayden Daniels leading the charge, got their first double-digit win season in 12 years, their first playoff win in 19 years, and their first conference championship game appearance in 33 years. And for Washington fans, what a breath of fresh air this has to be for them. What they've had to deal with at the quarterback position since 2002. Patrick Ramsey, Mark Brunell, Jason Campbell, the scraps of Donovan McNabb, Rex Grossman. You thought you had something there, a bright future with RG3, but he got hurt and was never the same. Kirk Cousins could never win a playoff game. Alex Smith suffered that catastrophic leg injury. Case Keenum, Taylor Heineke, and Sam Howell. It was a mess, but I tell you what, there's a difference between suffering and demonstrating resilience that no doubt the fan base that has suffered the most are the Detroit Lions fans. I would argue that one of the most resilient fan bases, along with Buffalo and Minnesota, are Washington Commanders fans. That no matter how bad it got, no matter how obvious it was that this team wasn't going to amount to anything worth a damn heading into the season, these fans never wavered in their hope and optimism. Through it all, through thick and thin, they loved their team and always held the stance that we have a shot this year. And once the season would start and they have a record of, say, 2-5 in their first 7 games, they would still root for their team, full of joy, but with a new focus. Just beat the Cowboys. I was born in DC, raised in PG County. The first 18 years of my life was surrounded by Redskins fandom, and I'm telling you folks, they could win 1 game all season long and would be happy as hell as long as they beat Dallas. Doesn't even have to be both times they face off every season. Just 1 win, and these fans were set. The rest of the season, they could go on a 4-game losing streak, but that next week, they're still out there tailgating at what used to be FedEx Field, or they're barbecuing on their back patio, blasting Backyard Band through their speakers, or ordering carryout pre-game steak and cheese subs, chicken wings with mambo sauce, excited to watch their team play. And with the season they just had, 12-5 record, conference championship game appearance, top 5 quarterback, the potential of this team now finally matches the unwavering support of this fan base. I'm happy for Washington fans. They totally deserve this. As it pertains to their playoff game versus Philly, they got hammered by the better team. Saquon was Saquon, 118 yards and 3 scores. Jalen Hurts with 3 rushing touchdowns as well. Not having Darren Payne certainly does not help. Their defensive line got bullied on the outside, giving up all the space to Eagles ball carriers. Their offensive line got beat the hell up as well, leaving the running backs in a situation where they got to fight for their lives, putting all the pressure on Jayden Daniels. It was just too much. And on top of that, undisciplined football. Washington lost the penalty battle 9-5. They also lost the turnover battle 4-0. Their top needs this offseason: offensive line, edge rushers, a bona fide wide receiver. Get Terry McLaurin some help. He cannot do it by himself. Tight end, Zach Ertz, very productive season, but he'll be a free agent and he's going to be 35 going into 2025. You could also use some help at running back. The Commanders should also exercise addition by subtraction. I would cut Marshawn Lattimore. Too much of a head case, a terrible leader. You cut him, you take on 0 dead money while also saving $18 million. So with this move, Washington would go from $78 million to $96 million available to spend this offseason. The first order of business, sign T. Higgins. It's the obvious play here. Get Jayden Daniels, a top-flight receiver, to pair with Terry McLaurin. Now, Higgins is going to demand the Brinks truck, and that's okay because Washington has the Brinks truck to offer. At edge rusher, I think primarily you're going to have to address that position in the draft, but in free agency, Can I interest you in Patrick Jones II, a depth piece for the Vikings, played in just 46% of the defensive snaps, but had 7 sacks. I do believe in a full-time role, he'll be solid and likely very affordable. At tight end, for a difference maker, you're going to have to address that in the draft. Bobby Wagner, he'll be 35 next year and he's a free agent. Do you bring him back? I know that 35 is old in terms of football years, but his leadership is huge, and it doesn't hurt that he was a second-team All-Pro in 2024. If he wants back in, great, bring him back. If not, if he decides to retire, all right, you can go after Zach Bond, first-team All-Pro linebacker from the Eagles. He's a free agent as well. T. Higgins would be the #1 big splash for the Commanders, obviously, and if necessary, Zach Bond at #2. After that, you can go stupid spending on the offensive line. At guard, Will Freeze from the Colts or Jayden Daniels from the Steelers. At left tackle, Cam Robinson from the Vikings. And in the draft, pick 29, you'll have options. Say Josh Connolly Jr., tackle from Oregon, Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from Texas A&M. And if Jonathan Allen becomes a cap casualty, you do save $16.5 million if you release him. Maybe consider Walter Nolan, D tackle from Ole Miss. Pick 61. If Harold Fannin Jr., tight end from Bowling Green, is there, don't think twice about it. You draft him. Pick 79. At running back, projected to be a third-round pick, Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State. And for what the Commanders were able to accomplish last year with that roster, they're going to be even scarier than what they already have been with the upgrades they are going to make. I firmly believe that T. Higgins to Washington is destiny, that I actually expect for Adam Schefter to make the announcement 5 minutes after the negotiating period opens. For Cliff Kingsbury, removing himself from consideration for the Saints job will remain the offensive coordinator in Washington for at least another year. For Jayden Daniels, that's huge. You want continuity for your young quarterback going into his second year. The Commanders' offense in 2024, top 10 offense in terms of yardage, top 5 scoring offense. I don't even think it's a stretch to say that Jayden Daniels may very well be the best rookie quarterback of all time, certainly the best that I've ever seen, to do what he did with that supporting cast. A shoddy offensive line, having only Terry McLaurin and a 34-year-old Zach Ertz to consistently depend on as playmakers while also leading the team in rushing. He's Lamar Jackson. You could see it coming out of LSU. The precision throws, the ad-libbing to extend plays, the explosive plays he makes with his legs, throwing off the run, or taking off with the ball himself. That was evident in college, and now after his first year in the pros, the jury has returned and they have reached a verdict that Jayden Daniels 1 season in and Lamar Jackson after 7 years in the league are the same player. It is wild to even try to comprehend that 2024 Jayden Daniels may very well be the worst version of Jayden Daniels that we'll ever see. And I'm just trying to think of all the possibilities where he has better protection from his offensive line, where he doesn't get sacked 47 times in a season, where he has time to make plays to Terry McLaurin and T. Higgins, ideally being a nightmare for opposing secondaries, handing the ball off to a 1,000-yard rusher. That play action is going to be lethal. And in times of crisis, the moment never gets too big for him. As human beings, when we're surrounded by chaos, there's going to be one of two reactions, either, and I call it shaky hands or steady hands. Either you're nervous and you don't quite know what to do and you react based off of solely emotion. That's shaky hands. And then there's the steady hands. And let me tell you something about these folks. These are some of the baddest mofos on the planet, that even though everything is going crazy around them, they are laser focused and they know exactly what to do. That is Jayden Daniels in big moments. With the quarterback on a rookie contract baseline, the formula is to go crazy with the spending everywhere else, to put together a super team, to build the X-Men. Don't talk to me about the Avengers, they are supremely overrated. But for this team to have this quarterback on a rookie contract, they're about to be a problem, especially with the ability to create up to $100 million in cap to spend this offseason. The NFC East, for the foreseeable future, is going to be a 2-team race between Washington and Philly. The Cowboys are a nonstop disaster. They're never going to win anything with Dak Prescott or with Jerry Jones as the owner. The Giants, they're going through a rebuild, especially after gifting Saquon to Philly. Ladies and gentlemen, after 33 years, the Washington Commanders are back.